There exists a letter yellowed by nearly 500 years preserved in the deepest vault of the Vatican's secret archives, a document that carries not only ink upon its surface, but traces of dried tears and tiny dark specks that experts believe may be the remnants of human blood. This letter was never supposed to exist, never meant to be written because it contains the forbidden confession of a girl only 4 years old. A confession born on the night history promised to crown her as a queen, yet instead delivered her into an abyss of pain so brutal that something inside her shattered forever. From the ruins of that night rose a shadow, hungry for vengeance. The author of that letter was Catherine de' Medici, a young Florentine noble sent to France as a political offering by popes and kingdoms who believed her marriage would secure alliances and power. She stepped into her new life with hopes of honor and influence, but what she faced behind the doors of her bridal chamber was neither love nor ceremony, but a carefully orchestrated spectacle of humiliation designed to break her spirit and strip her of dignity. That night her flesh was injured, but it was her innocence, her pride, her very sense of self that was violated. Somewhere in the darkness of her suffering, an invisible cord connecting her to childhood snapped, and in its place grew a knot of cold, unbreakable resentment. The newly revealed documents claim that 23 high-ranking nobles secretly positioned themselves behind hidden walls and narrow spy slits, watching every moment of the ritual through cracks carved generations earlier for this very purpose. They observed her degradation as if it were a perverse performance. None of them could have imagined that over the years to come each would pay the price for their morbid curiosity because, one by one, they would fall to poison brewed by the very woman whose tears of blood they had watched drip silently onto the marriage bed. Catherine kept a secret diary, hidden for decades, in which she recorded each of their names, the dates of their deaths, the methods she used, and the final sounds they made as life left them. Her wedding night made her a wife only in name. In truth, it forged a strategist of revenge, capable of converting trauma into the most precise and patient form of destruction. To grasp the magnitude of her ordeal, we return to October 25th, 1533. The palace of Marseille overflowed with the fragrances of feasts and the noise of celebration. Outside, the streets pulsed with music and wine as crowds gathered to rejoice in the union of France with the powerful Medici family. Inside those fortified corridors, however, preparations were underway for an event carefully erased from official chronicles. Newly uncovered Vatican documents reference a clandestine tradition known as the purification ceremony, a medieval ritual imposed on foreign brides to symbolically cleanse them of impurities not aligned with royal bloodlines. This ritual was never written in any book. It lived only in whispered conversations passed down among elder nobles. Catherine, having only just turned 14, walked the torchlit hallways unaware of the horror awaiting her. Her silk-gloved hands trembled slightly, despite the calm expression she was taught to maintain. She expected her wedding night to be her first intimate experience as a noblewoman, but she was walking toward a ritual designed to break, not to unite. Inside the bridal chamber, Henry d'Orleans, 15 years old, physically strong, but mentally shaped entirely by the will of his 34-year-old mistress, Diane de Poitiers, waited with the instructions she had carved into him. Diane, determined to ensure Catherine's humiliation, planned every detail, every phrase, every gesture he would perform. Through secret passageways built for discreet observation, 23 nobles gathered quietly and watched as the scene unfolded. Their eyes glistened with anticipation, some sipping wine, others exchanging quiet comments about how long the young Italian would endure before collapsing. The gentle touches Henry first offered were a trap meant to lower her guard. What followed surpassed anything imaginable. Violence, physical, emotional, and psychological, filled the room. Catherine screamed in Italian, begging for mercy, but her cries were drowned by laughter and mocking remarks beyond the walls. The torment was so severe that tiny blood vessels around her eyes burst, causing tears mixed with blood to trickle down her cheeks. Henry alternated between feigned tenderness and sudden cruelty, prolonging her suffering with deliberate precision. 3 times she fainted, and 3 times the court physician, Anan Dubois, was summoned to revive her. Each time she regained consciousness, the shadowy figures behind the walls felt closer, like vultures circling their prey. By the arrival of dawn, the Catherine who had walked into the room was gone. A new being had emerged, one who carved each face, each voice and each laugh into her memory, with a coldness born of violence and betrayal. After the wedding, Catherine barely spoke for days. She moved through the palace with slow, steady steps, listening and observing. Her silence was mistaken for fear, but it was something far more dangerous. It was calculation. Her education at the convent of St. Lucia, mastery of 5 languages, her understanding of politics, her training in herbal medicine, alchemy, and history became the tools she needed to begin reshaping her destiny. Her husband, too absorbed in Diane de Poitiers to notice, assumed Catherine was meek and unambitious. But Catherine learned a vital lesson. Revealing nothing was her greatest advantage. She smiled when required, accepted minor humiliations gracefully, and formed alliances strategically. Each night, alone in her chamber, she opened her secret diary and reviewed the 23 names, refining the method she would eventually use to erase them from existence. 3 full years passed before Catherine made her first move. Her first target was Jean de Mont, the courtier who had once joked about placing bets on how long she would endure the torture on her wedding night. She remembered the gleam in his eyes, the way he sipped wine while she begged for mercy. Now she was ready to answer him, using her knowledge of herbs and toxic compounds. Catherine developed an exact blend of hemlock and mercury, perfecting it through secret experimentation in a room officially used for storing medicinal plants. This poison caused violent convulsions, pink foam at the mouth, and hours of excruciating agony, symptoms that mirrored her suffering. Jean de Montmorency was found dead in his chamber on a cold winter morning. The court murmured about food poisoning, unaware of the small glass vial he had received beforehand containing a deep red liquid, and a brief message reminding him of the tears of blood he had once watched without remorse. Only one name remained: Henry, her husband, the key to completing her revenge. He could not be killed carelessly. His death must symbolize the end of her cycle of vengeance. On July 10, 1559, Paris hosted a grand jousting tournament to celebrate a peace treaty with Spain. The square pulsed with excitement as nobles gathered to see the king compete. Catherine watched from the royal box, expression serene yet eyes unblinking. When Henry faced Captain Gabriel de Montgomery, their lances collided. A splinter pierced the king's helmet, driving into his eye. Gasps filled the air. Doctors attempted everything, but Henry suffered for 10 days, battling fever, convulsions, and hallucinations. His agony was far more intense than the wound alone could explain. Modern studies of the preserved spearhead revealed traces of a mysterious organic toxin that may have accelerated his decline. Although no proof ever linked Catherine to the event, a strange symbol appeared engraved on Henry's tomb. 3 connected circles crossed by a vertical line, the Same symbol Catherine had drawn in blood on her bridal chamber wall the night her fate was sealed. With Henry's death, her vengeance was complete. No witness survived. Yet Catherine's story, though remarkable, is only a fragment of the darker truths hidden in Europe's secret archives. Alongside her confessions lie the diaries of Mary Tudor, revealing punishments far more intricate than the executions history remembers. There are coded letters from Elizabeth of Bavaria, known in Latin texts as Isabella Bathory, describing alchemical experiments on prisoners masked as medical research. And among the most disturbing manuscripts are those attributed to Lucretia Borgia, whose poisons were so advanced they could mimic diseases modern science still cannot replicate. Women shaped by betrayal, by pain, by humiliation, women who transformed suffering into weapons and power that history's tried to bury. If Catherine's story ignited something within you, understand this. What has been revealed is only a fraction of what still lies hidden behind stone walls, sealed vaults, and forbidden manuscripts of medieval royalty. Some secrets, once uncovered, cannot be forgotten. Tell us which queen or historical figure you want exposed next. Your choice will determine the horrors we reveal in the next chapter. And if Catherine's story felt dark, what comes next will make it seem like a child's tale.